Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Anton, and welcome to today's video for Legends of Runeterra. We are in spoiler season, and you know what that means? That means new cards are being revealed, new champions, and new mechanics. So, what have we got in today? Well, first off, we got a new champion. We have Nidalee. She's been revealed. Pretty solid champion. And alongside Nidalee, we have a new mechanic called Ambush. For the Magic players, Ambush is pretty much very similar to Morph. If you don't know that, because you didn't play Magic or you don't know what Morph is, we will talk about what Ambush is when we start talking about the cards. So, welcome to the Heart of the Huntress expansion spoiler season, and let's go right into the cards. So, as we can see here, we have this card, we have Nidalee. And she has something called Ambush too. So what does Ambush actually do though? Well, let's actually start learning. All right, so this is from the official Riot account themselves. So this is their definition of it. We'll go over it a little bit more in depth, but Ambush. Ambush cards can be played hidden if you have no other hidden ambush allies. So you can only have one card in ambush form at a time. Hidden allies are 2 mana 2/2s. So it doesn't matter how much the ambush card costs. Could be 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever mana. You can always basically play them face down as a 2 mana 2/2. And then you may pay a hidden ally's ambush cost to transform it into its base card, basically to flip it face up, if we're going to use some Yu-Gi-Oh terms. This is pretty good. Now, let's actually talk about the cards. Now, the biggest problem with Ambush is, in my opinion, the fact that you can only have one ambush card on the field in ambush form. In its brush form, I believe. Shadows in the Brush is the name of the card. Or just Shadow instead of Shadows in the Brush. There's a lot of questions people have had about how it's going to work, because Shadows in the Brush, if I can find it, it's just a regular unit. It's its own unit. And people are having questions like, what happens if it's buffed with stats like a Chime? Or what if the unit is buffed with a Chime in hand and then it gets transformed into Shadows? Does it become a 3/3? Is it a 2/2? What happens if you silence Shadow in the Brush, etc., etc.? The devs have been going through and answering these kind of niche cases. I believe another question is what if you copy Shadow in the Brush with something like Condense? But let's actually talk about the cards. First off, we have Nidalee. I think she's a pretty solid card. Before we go too far into the talking about the cards, again, when these cards come out and the new ladder starts, we're going to be on standard ranked instead of eternal ranked, which is going to be fun. So a lot of the discussion of these cards and their power level, for me at least, will be talking about them in the standard format instead of eternal format. So Nidalee is a 4 mana 5/3. She also has the cat archetype. So there's a little bit of cat synergy out there right now, so that is nice. She also has quick attack. I don't know if I mentioned that. I probably did. But she has ambush too. So you can play her on turn 2 as a 2/2 for 2 mana. And then later you can spend another 2 mana to basically flip her. Pretty good. Level up. I've seen you summon or transform for other allies. First glance, kind of a simple card. The 5/3 stat line with quick attack for 4 mana kind of reminds me of Severe. And at a first glance, I'm just like, yeah, she's worse Severe. Doesn't even have Spell Shield, unlike Severe. And what does she do when she levels up, though? Well, when she levels up, she becomes a 6/4 with Overwhelm. Okay. Nexus Strike, transform me back into Nidalee and create a Javelin Toss in hand. So she does go from level 1 to level 2 and back again. Kind of like Nar does with his transformations. So yeah, if we look at it at her at a first glance, she is basically like a worse Severe. But she does more than just being, well, what Severe is, and that's basically a stat stick who eventually shares keywords. What is Javelin Toss? Well, Javelin Toss is a 0 mana slow spell with fleeting. Deal 4 to an enemy. If there are no enemies when I'm played, I target the enemy nexus instead. Basically, it is a worse Lux Laser Beam. Lux spell has the benefit of it having overwhelm. So if you kill something with 3 health, that 1 extra damage will go and hit face. Javelin Toss doesn't have that. That's fine, because even if it's not doing a little bit of chip damage, this is a very powerful card. I really like this. I think it's really good. Like, you're not gonna get that many, unlike say Lux laser beams, because it is kind of difficult in my opinion to get a Javelin Toss. You have to level up Nidalee. You then have to Nexus Strike, which is not that tough thanks to the overwhelm, but you know, stuns, kill spells, etc., etc. And then we have her transform card. All of the ambush transform spells are burst spells, so you can use them during combat, which is actually kind of cute. Your opponent might block, say, like a transform Nidalee, thinking because it's just a 2-mana 2/2, and then you cast her transform card, and now she's a 5/3 with quick attack, getting chunked by, like, I don't know, a 3/3 or something. And that's very strong. But yeah, I like her. I think she has a lot of potential. I like the kit she's got here. Javelin Toss seems cool. I don't really think she's going to be the win con, though, of most of her decks. I feel like she's just a very solid card, gives you a little bit of value, puts on a little pressure, but I'm not really going to build around her too heavily because she just doesn't have that, you know, that special something to be like the build around win con, like, you know, how Ezreal is or something, or a Seraphine or whatever. But yeah, I like her, but I don't see her really, really shaking up the top of the meta by herself, at least in the standard meta. Basically, like, I don't see her doing much against like Karma set decks, Vaults of Helia, Nasus decks, etc., etc. Now her champ spell, though. I didn't talk about this too much with Nidalee because I feel like her champ spell needs we're gonna need to talk about it a lot because her champ spell is kind of crazy. Her champ spell is Prowl. 1 mana, give an ally +2/+0 this round. If it is a shadow in the brush, basically, if it's in its ambush form, give it +2/+2 instead. This card is what I think is the glue that is going to hold ambush decks together and basically Nidalee decks together. We've already seen how strong a +2/+2 buff is in the form of a 1 mana spell. All Out, if you don't remember what I'm talking about. All Out, Samira's champ spell. That alongside the entire Samira kit caused Samira to get nerfed numerous times. They eventually nerfed All Out to only give +2/+1. I'm not saying I think this is as good as unnerfed All Out, and that is because of the caveat that it can only give that 2 health to Shadow in the Brush. I'm going to say Shadow in the Bush a lot, by the way, instead of Shadow in the Brush. Still, though, I really like this. I think you are going to use this as just... Your opponent's going to sometimes see like, oh, it's a 2/2. Let me play like Avalanche. Let me play Blighted, or I guess Blighted Ravine will get through it. But let me play like a Mystic Shot, etc., etc. Let me try and use like a 2-attack Challenger or whatever. And then you play Prowl, and then your opponent's sad because they basically traded a Mystic Shot for a combat trick. And that is kind of meh. So yeah, kind of a difficult condition to meet. I'm going to depend a lot on all of the ambush cards, but I do think if you are playing an ambush deck, you're playing as many copies of this as you can play. You're going to play 3 Nidalee, so you can get her champ spell, of course, and then you're going to play 3 copies of Prowl in your deck. So yeah, I like it. I think it is really good. Again, I've already said it, but the fact that it can only target things that are ambush, that are shadows in the brush, is what's making me a little hesitant to say it's going to be really, really strong, because you can't use it on something like, say, a Fizz, like Samira Fizz did. But you're still going to be very happy when you use this to protect a Shadows in the Brush from a Mystic Shot or something. Next up, what do we have? We have Bushwhack Trap. I think this card's kind of bad, in all honesty. I'm sorry if you like this card or think it's good. At first, I misread this card. 2 mana, when I'm summoned, or the first time an ally transforms each round, give the weakest enemy vulnerable this round. It's also a landmark, too. Now, I misread this in that I read that, like, at first, the way I read it was that every time you summoned, every time you summoned it or basically every time you activated it, I thought it was granting. And that's bad. Like, I don't know. I'm just trying to say, like, temporary vulnerable granting is not bad. Like, it's playable, but it's not the greatest, especially in my opinion, in a region that doesn't have multiple attacks, like scouts, rallies, etc., etc. You can't punish getting those cheap small blockers out of the way. I also kind of misread this one because it says like when you summoned or the first time an ally transforms each round. I kind of read that as a whenever you summon an ally. I thought it was going to be like that. Every time you summon an ally, weakest thing gets vulnerable. And I thought this card was crazy good. And then I reread it and I actually learned what it does. And I was like, well, it kind of sucks. The fact that it is in Shurima is nice, so it gives it some deck building viability, but yeah, I don't know. I just think it's too weak for its cost. The fact that the only way after it's summoned to activate it is to transform an ally is very, very restrictive though with its deck building, so you're gonna have to have something like the ambush deck. Like, it's obvious it's meant to be ambush decks, but I don't know. I don't even think an ambush deck will play this. Plus, it also has the other problem that a lot of landmarks have. You need to actually draw it and play it, and then hope to get enough value from the theoretical tempo loss that you gained. Next up, Towering Pyrofont. I actually like this card. 6 mana, 6/5 Overwhelm with Ambush 5. Very simple card. I've seen some people kind of underestimating this card in my opinion. And that is because they look at it and they just see, oh, it's a big ball of stats with Overwhelm. Yes, you are right. It's a very simple card, very easy to understand. That ambush, though, is what I'm looking at. Thanks to ambush, the ambush cards transform part of them being spells. You can use spell mana to transform this, so you could technically get this out a little bit faster, turn 4, turn 5. But that's not where I'm seeing some kind of viability here. Where I'm seeing some viability is with some transformation synergy. Not just like Chief Nako Talk, but a card a long time ago got introduced into the game called Curious Changeling. Curious Changeling, if you don't remember it, is a 3 mana 2/4 in, I believe, Bandle City. I think it's only mono region, so you'll have to be a Shurima Bandle deck with this. 3 mana 2/4, and it says like whenever an allied follower, I believe, transforms, the Changeling will transform into a copy of it. I'm not sure if it's exact copy or just a copy, but you play Changelings out, and your opponent's probably not going to waste removal on a 3 mana 2/4 that's not really doing much, and it's just sitting there. And then you have a Shadows in the Brush, and then you transform it into the Pyrofont, and now you have 2 6/5 Overwhelm attackers that you probably got at burst speed because of how the ambush spells work, because they're all, you know, burst speed cards. So yeah, I kind of like the card. I think it is pretty solid. I don't think you just throw it in every deck, but I do think it does have some synergy with a Nar Nidalee transform deck, just a Bandle Nidalee transform deck. Really, probably gonna just play Nar anyway because Nar has transform synergy too. Next up, Aurora Halu. I have no idea how to pronounce that, but Aurora Halu. Meh. Not a big fan of this card. 3 mana 4/2 ambush 4. When I transform, summon an Aurora Halu. Basically, you get a second 4/2. So you're basically playing 6 mana total for 2 4/2s. Like, yeah, you're breaking up the mana cost, which is nice, but this is kind of, you know what this reminds me of? Assembly Line, the 6 mana summon 2 3/3 Forge Workers. And that card's not that great, in all honesty. It is a bird, so maybe if you have some bird synergy, you'll like this. Maybe if you're desperate enough for transform synergy, ambush synergy, you'll play this, but 6 mana, even if you can break it up, the mana cost, 6 mana to summon 4, or oh god, if it did summon 4, but 6 mana to summon 2 4/2 units is, when you put it like that, not that good. If this does see play, it's basically probably because of bird synergy or ambush synergy. It's just that good you would play something like this. Now, if it said like summon an exact copy of myself, you know, when I transform, summon an exact copy of myself or whatever, how you want to word it, yeah, I'd like that, because then you could do some shenanigans with chimes and stuff and hand buffing, but it's not an exact copy, so whatever. I think it's just doing, it's cute, has some potential, but I just think it doesn't do enough for modern LOR. Now our next transform card, Avenging Vestaya. Now this card, probably one of the best non-champion, maybe even the best ambush card in general. 3 mana 3/3 with Spell Shield. Okay, solid stat line, pretty good keyword with Spell Shield. But ambush 3, so you're gonna have to pay 5 mana to ambush this guy out. He better do something good, and he does. When I transform from Avenging Vestaya's ambush, stop all enemy fast spells, slow spells, and skills. Basically, when this guy transforms, you get a Rite of Negation. And by now, we all know how good Rite of Negation is. So, yeah, I think the card's really good. I even think you could put this outside of ambush decks. In decks that would just like other ways to play Rite of Negation. Maybe a way to play Rite of Negation that doesn't mess with their mana gems or ask them to destroy their own units. But yeah, I like this. I think it's very good. You can just let it sit on the board for a while. Maybe your opponent will try to remove it, in which case then you'll play Prowl, I believe is the card's name, right? Yeah, Prowl, to protect it. Maybe you're happy with it dying just for the 1-for-1 trade on the removal. Maybe your other regions have combat tricks too, like maybe you're in Ionia, maybe a Varus region, you use something like Momentous Choice, Twin, Form Up, etc., to protect it as well. And then the entire time this card's on the field, your opponent's going to be scared of it flipping and countering whatever big spell they do. And because of the way ambush works, you might even be able to bluff it too. I feel like any ambush deck is going to play 1, maybe 2 of these. I don't think 3 of these will be played, but yeah, I like it. I think it's really, really good. I am speculating, but I think this guy is really, really strong and one of the strongest cards we've seen so far. Next up, what do we have here? We got All-Terrain Trooper? Yeah, we got All-Terrain Trooper right here. 2 mana 3/1, ambush 0, which is kind of cute. When I'm summoned or transformed, grant the weakest enemy vulnerable. Big fan of this card. Think this card is just really strong. Not much to talk about. We've seen cards like this before. Yeah, just solid. Little sad that he's only got 1 health for a 2-drop. Easy to ping, but at the moment, pings aren't that popular in standard. You know, there's like no Vile Feast especially, so yeah, I think this is a solid 3 of, or at least a 2 of, in pretty much any deck that's playing ambush. Also, the fact that its ambush is 0 mana means you can just play this whenever. It's going to be really easy to cast the ambush and transform this guy and get his ability to go off. So yeah, solid card. Next up, Bristol Hog. I don't know what to say about this card. 1 mana 1/2. Once an ally has transformed this game, grant me +1/+1. Kind of like a chip style card. So it's gonna be a 1 mana 2/3 once it transforms. Chip is starts as a 1 mana 1/1, or not when it transforms, when it's active. Chip is a 1 mana 1/1. Once Chip is active, he's 1 mana 3/3. Sure, this thing's a little smaller than Chip, gonna be a 2/3 when it's active, but doesn't die to pings. I don't think you want this though. I feel like your deck is gonna have either better options on turn 1, or they'd rather just skip turn 1 and bank mana for the transform spells, for the ambush spells. Because yeah, you're obviously just playing this in an ambush deck, right? And next, we have our big 7 mana, just our big, I don't know, archetype top end, big game tycoon. 7 mana, 5/6. When you play the guy, he manifests a card with ambush. Okay, gets a little bit of value right away. And he has an ability. When an ally transforms, double its power and health. I actually think this guy is a little more playable than some people are giving him credit. Yes, he is really, really slow, but because you can use the spell mana to transform cards, you know, you can have, like, say, like a Nidalee in her ambush form, and then you transform her, and she gets pretty big. She'll be, what, a 10/6 if you transform her out, and it's not like your opponent can stop you from transforming unless they have, I guess, burst speed removal with mini morph. So yeah, I like the guy. I think he's very solid. A little slow though, but I do think he is a good, solid option for top end in these ambush decks. And then next up, Blimp Pack Poacher. I like this guy. 2 mana 2/2, ambush 3. So you pay 2 mana to set him in his ambush form, but then you have to pay 3 mana to flip him? So what's he actually do then? Because that's a lot of mana. When I transform, next time I block or am blocked this round, capture my enemy if its power is 6 or less. It is a skill. I will mention that. I wonder if I can find it. Oh, I skipped this card. We'll talk about face check later. I guess it's not on this website, but it is a skill. Like, some people have said, like, oh, is it, like, not a skill? No, it is a skill, so it should get blocked. Like, his ability will be blocked by Spell Shield. While I like him, I do think he is kind of bad. I look at him as, like, kind of a pseudo stun, if that makes sense. Because it's not going to be hard to kill at 2/2. It's also really expensive. That's the other thing. Maybe you play it as, like, a 1-of or a 2-of if you just need to fill out your deck, but I don't know. I'll personally be playing him as a 1-of or a 2-of because I just like the effect, but I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like in the next few days, after playing this guy, I'll probably cut him from my decks because he's just a little too meh, a little too easily counterable. Plus, the fact that his ability is a skill means your opponent can react and play things like Form Up, Twin Disciplines, etc., to try and get above 6 power. So that's also a big problem. I did skip this card. I thought I wasn't skipping it, but I did skip face check. Not much to talk about with this. 1 mana manifest a card with ambush. I mean, we have a lot of cards like this that just manifest a certain type of card, you know. The Fey one manifests the Fey folk, whatever. I think the card's pretty solid. Shurima Shellfolk is a deck. I don't know if Shurima Shellfolk will play this, but I do think it is an option. I really like this with Seraphine too. I have played a lot of Seraphine, and I do think Seraphine Shurima is really, really weak. But Seraphine Nidalee might be good. One of their weaknesses, one of Shurima Seraphine's weaknesses is that they don't have that many great cheap-ish spells to get doubled up. But with the addition of Face Check and Prowl, that's a pretty good. Those are some pretty good spells to get doubled up by Seraphine. So yeah, I like it. Next up though, we got Poacher Cub. Poacher Cub, 3 mana 2/2 with Fearsome, ambush 1. So it's gonna, if you ambush this out, it will be 3 mana overall. So you're not getting any discounts here or getting taxed a bit for ambushing. What does it actually do though? Not much. Nexus Strike, summon a Poacher Protector, which is a 2 mana 3/1, and that's it. I guess I should also mention they are cats. Like, a lot of these cards will have a tribe with them, so you should remember that. But meh, that's all I can really say. The card is just it's whatever. It's like, I'd rather, there are just other 2-drops I'd play. You know, the All-Terrain Trooper we saw earlier. And a lot of the time on turn 2, I'd rather just be like setting other more powerful ambush cards into their ambush form. You know, like Nidalee herself. Maybe the Towering Pyrofont, Avenging Vestaya, etc. So, okay filler, but that's all it looks like to me. It's just filler. If the Poacher Protector was a little bit better, I might like it, but Pocket Protector, just a vanilla 3/1's not enough of a payoff. And our last card, we have Anora and Fruit. Anora and Fruit is a 3-mana 2/2. Also has the Reptiles tag. Allies that have a different subtype than other allies in play cost 1 less. Kind of a cute, kind of a nice, mana dork, if you will. Reminds me a little bit of Vandal City Mayor. Doesn't give you a card like Vandal City Mayor. Also doesn't have that much health, unlike Mayor, who has 3 health. So this thing does die relatively easily. A little squishy for a 3-drop. But unlike Mayor, whose mana cost deduction is limited to once a turn, as long as you don't have that subtype on the field, you're getting that mana reduction. So that is kind of nice. I think it's just a little too slow. Gonna have to see more and more different subtype cards, like, you know, birds, cats, dogs, yetis, elnuks, etc., and see just how they look and whether we want discounts. Celestial discounts are pretty good. So, you know, PNZ Targon is kind of playable, perhaps. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think the card's that good, but I can see it being broken in the right deck. So yeah, that is all. Those have been all of the cards that have been revealed today. Nidalee seems pretty solid. Currently, with the cards we know about and the cards that are already in the game, I have 2 decks that I really like brewing in my mind. The first one is just Nidalee, just a transform synergy deck, probably something that Riot themselves intends to be somewhat playable. You know, you play you play Nidalee, play some of these ambush cards, play Curious Changeling, maybe Teeny Dactyl, you know, your Vandal City, spell suite, so maybe some condenses, pie tossing, etc. The second deck is a Seraphine Nidalee deck. I already talked about it a little bit. You know, you play Seraphine, play Nidalee. All of these ambush cards are technically different cards. So, you know, you got Nidalee's ambush, you got the Pyrofont's ambush, the Aurora ambush, the Vestaya ambush. Those are all different spells for Seraphine. So Seraphine does like that. You get to play Bar. Plus, since they are all different spells, you know what that helps activate? That helps activate Pursuit of Perfection. Get that big 30/30 cat out there. And it is a cat, so maybe we can even get some cat synergies here, because, you know, Nidalee's a cat. Pursuit of Perfection cat's a cat. Maybe you even play Pocket Cub, which is a cat, I believe. So, yeah, maybe there's a little bit of cat synergy there, but really it's just going to be a Seraphine deck that, you know, does Seraphine things, uses Nidalee to try and, like, buy some time, get some value off of Javelin Toss, put some pressure on. You bar, and then you get your leveled up Seraphine out. You then get a lot of value with things like Rummage, Time Tricks. And then if that's not enough, then you go and play Pursuit of Perfection and just win the game. So yeah, curious what you guys think about Nidalee. What do you think of Nidalee? What do you think of Ambush? Do you think it is a good mechanic? Do you like Nidalee? Do you think she's a little weak? I think she's pretty good. I think she's pretty powerful, pretty strong, solid card. Not seeing her, like, dethroning the top tier decks of standard meta, but I do think she will make a dent in the meta. And if you guys just enjoy, but yeah, like I said, I'd love to hear what you guys would build with Nidalee too, because so far I've only got like Seraphine Nidalee and Gnar Nidalee as ideas, but I'd love to hear any ideas you have brewing in your brains. And if you guys just enjoy the video in general, I'd love it if you could leave a like or a comment down below. It always helps me and always helps out the channel. And if you guys want to keep up with the Legends of Runeterra content, I'm going to be putting up a lot of it because of the spoiler season. You can always go and subscribe to the channel as well. And if you want to watch me play some Legends of Runeterra, you can, of course, always go check me out over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Senaton, where I stream pretty much every single day. Anyway, though, with that all said and done, thank you all again once more for watching this video. And until I see you guys in the next one, bye.